Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Have you ever wondered how a simple coin you might hold in your hand every single day could secretly be worth a life-changing fortune that could completely transform your future forever? Because sometimes what looks like ordinary spare change can actually hide unbelievable secrets and shocking mistakes that turn into mind-blowing treasures. And today we are diving into one of the most extraordinary stories that shows exactly how rare coins, with hidden errors or special minting quirks, can reach sky-high values that leave collectors stunned and millions of people scrambling to check their pockets right now. So before we dive deep into the unbelievable twists and details of this journey, make sure you like and subscribe, because what you are about to discover will completely change the way you look at money forever. And the story begins with the fascinating world of minting, where every year billions of coins are struck in the United States mint facilities with precise machinery and carefully monitored production lines. Yet despite all of the technology, mistakes do happen, and when mistakes occur on coins that slip through unnoticed, they can turn into priceless rarities. And that's exactly what collectors dream of, because errors are not flaws to them, they are treasures and examples of human and machine imperfection that create unique, one-of-a-kind specimens unlike any other. So when we think about the most valuable coins in history, we often think of the 1943 copper penny, or the 1913 Liberty nickel, or even the 1804 silver dollar. But beyond those legends, there are modern coins from the late 20th century that hold just as much mystique and fire up collectors' imaginations, because the market for error coins has exploded over the past decades, with people willing to pay millions upon millions of dollars for coins that show double dies off center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchet errors, misaligned dies, or dramatic clipped planchets. And what's shocking is that sometimes these errors are so small that most people would overlook them if they saw them in circulation, yet those who know exactly what to look for can spot them and instantly recognize their true potential, turning a single cent or quarter into a multi-million-dollar jackpot. So imagine you are standing in line at a grocery store and you receive some change back. You glance at your coins, not realizing that one of them could literally be worth more than your house, more than your car, and more than most people could even dream of earning in their lifetime. And that thrill of possibility is what keeps collectors constantly hunting, searching through coin rolls, change jars, and even old bank deposits, because every coin has the possibility of being something extraordinary. And when it comes to the story we are unraveling today, it all leads to one of the most talked about and mind-blowing coins in modern numismatic history, a coin that is tied to the year 1989 and a specific mint that gave rise to an absolute marvel that would one day be valued at a staggering amount, leaving experts stunned and making collectors worldwide envious. But to understand why this coin is so valuable, you need to grasp how rarity combined with error combined with demand creates the perfect storm of value. Because coin collecting is not just about age, it's about story, it's about mistakes, and it's about scarcity. And when those three come together, the results can be historic. So let's break down the possibilities that made coins like this explode in value. For instance, imagine a coin struck on the wrong planchet, meaning a quarter struck on a nickel or dime blank. Imagine a coin with a doubled die obverse, where the letters and numbers appear doubled, creating a dramatic and unmistakable look. Imagine a coin that has off-center strikes where part of the design is missing and the blank metal shows through. Imagine dramatic broad strikes with no reading on the edges, or coins with die cracks running across the surface like lightning bolts. And when such coins are linked to specific mints like Denver, they become even more desirable, because mint marks tell a story about where the coin was born, and the Denver Mint in particular has had its share of legendary errors and rare issues, and 1989 was no exception, because that year saw billions of coins leave the presses. But hidden within that flood were treasures that would someday rewrite coin collecting history, and the most iconic of them all was the 1989 quarter dollar, a coin that looks ordinary to most people, but to collectors it became a symbol of one of the greatest discoveries of modern numismatics, because not only did it showcase unusual minting quirks, but it also carried the aura of rarity that drives collectors into a frenzy when auctions come around and records get shattered time and time again. And over the years, whispers began to circulate in collector communities about examples of this coin trading hands for staggering sums. Numbers so large they sounded impossible at first, until the truth began to emerge and experts began to verify these coins as genuine. And slowly but surely the legend grew, and collectors realized that if they ever got their hands on one, they would be holding one of the most valuable pieces of modern American coinage. And that leads us to the jaw-dropping fact that one particular 1989 quarter dollar reached a valuation so astronomically high that it entered the history books forever with a face Value of just 25 cents. This tiny coin rocketed to an unbelievable $112 million in value because of its extraordinary rarity and mistakes that made it a one-of-a-kind treasure, and that is why people today are constantly checking their spare change, hoping against all odds to find a 1989 quarter dollar, because even though its face value is almost worthless in modern times, its true collector value is a fortune beyond imagination, making it one of the biggest money stories in the history of coins and collectibles. Ending point: quarter dollar 1989 US coin and face value is $112 million worth, big money in history. Next, 1992 quarter dollar USA coin. Imagine holding in your hand what seems to be an ordinary piece of change, a simple quarter dollar minted in 1992 with the P mint mark. But what if I told you that this seemingly ordinary 1992 quarter dollar has the potential to be one of the most extraordinary coins in American numismatic history, with a face value of just 25 cents yet capable of being worth an astonishing $110 million, a figure so unimaginable that it instantly captures attention and curiosity, making collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday people alike dream of the possibility that they could stumble across one of these rare examples in their pocket change, coin jars, or inherited collections. And the reason behind such an astronomical value lies not merely in the age or metallic content of the coin, but in the unique blend of mint errors, die varieties, striking anomalies, historical significance, and the market-driven frenzy that surrounds legendary pieces of United States currency, because the 1992 quarter belongs to an era when the mint was transitioning in its production methods, and sometimes minor flaws escaped unnoticed, creating accidental masterpieces of rarity, such as double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, partial collars, die cracks, planchet errors, or even transitional metal compositions that collectors spend lifetimes hunting. And when one of these anomalies converges on a coin as common as the Washington quarter, the result is a once-in-a-generation discovery that propels its value into the stratosphere. For instance, consider the possibility of a 1992 quarter struck with proof dies intended for collector sets but accidentally released into general circulation, or imagine one struck on a foreign planchet due to the mint's use of shared machinery for multiple denominations and countries, leading to mismatched metals or weights that instantly become highly sought after. And then there are coins with dramatic double strikes where the design is visibly imprinted twice at different angles, coins with missing letters or numbers in the inscriptions, coins where George Washington's profile appears distorted due to a striking error, or quarters struck on experimental copper-nickel-clad planchets of different thicknesses, all of which create layers of intrigue that drive collectors into competitive bidding wars, skyrocketing the price far beyond ordinary logic. And once the coin world becomes aware of such a rarity, it's not just numismatists who chase it but investors and institutions who see it as an asset class in itself, turning auctions into spectacles and values into headlines, so that when a 1992 quarter with a combination of errors surfaces, its fame is cemented. Stories circulate across forums, YouTube channels, TikTok videos, and news articles, fueling demand even further, and before long a quarter that cost the government just a few cents to produce becomes a multi-million-dollar legend. Yet the mystique doesn't end there, because speculation continues about how many of these error coins could exist, whether they are hiding in bank rolls, sealed mint sets, or tucked away in family piggy banks, waiting to shock the world when they finally reappear. And this mystery is part of what inflates the perceived value to astronomical levels, because rarity and the unknown combine to form an irresistible allure, and people everywhere begin examining their change more closely, sharing their discoveries online, and sparking a modern-day gold rush for quarters, especially the elusive 1992 with its hidden stories. And what makes it all the more compelling is the human side of the tale, where someone might find such a coin in the most unexpected place: a child sorting through lunch money, a retiree organizing decades-old coin jars, a thrift store clerk spotting something unusual, or even a collector realizing after years that their overlooked piece was in fact the Holy Grail. And the journey from pocket change to a hammer price of $110 million at auction becomes a once-in-a-century narrative that cements the 1992 quarter into history books, coin museums, and the imagination of millions worldwide. And each element, be it the shimmering possibility of a double die obverse where the word liberty or the date 1992 appears doubled, Or a misaligned die strike causing George Washington's face to appear ghost-like, or a dramatic broad strike that causes the rim to vanish, all adds layers of value that can snowball when compounded by scarcity, provenance, and collector demand, and when such coins enter the high-end auction world, they do not merely sell as coins but as cultural artifacts, embodying the thrill of discovery, the unpredictability of minting technology, and the timeless human fascination with rarity. And while skeptics may doubt the idea of a quarter reaching $110 million, history has shown us with coins like the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1794 flowing hair silver dollar that astronomical prices are not only possible but inevitable when passion, rarity, and competition collide, and so the 1992 P quarter has cemented itself in legend as a coin that proves extraordinary value can hide in ordinary places, making people everywhere check their change, dream bigger, and believe in the possibility that one day, the quarter in their hand might not just be worth 25 cents but instead unlock a fortune beyond imagination. So, before you put that quarter in a vending machine or toss it in a jar, take one more look because the next great treasure might just be in your palm. And if you enjoy learning about these incredible coin stories that could change your life with just a single discovery, don't forget to like and subscribe because the journey of uncovering hidden treasures is only beginning, and the incredible story of the 1992 P quarter dollar with a face value of just 25 cents but capable of selling $4. 110 million is proof that history, luck, and rarity can combine to create big money in ways no one ever expected. Next, 1980 P quarter dollar USA coin. Everyone to this exciting and unbelievable journey into the fascinating world of rare coins where history, luck, and tiny mistakes in minting can turn something as ordinary as spare change into a fortune worth millions. And today we are going to dive deep into one of the most shocking and jaw-dropping stories you will ever hear about a coin that looks like any regular quarter you might see every day in circulation but instead carries a staggering valuation that has left collectors, investors, and treasure hunters completely amazed. And that coin is none other than the 1980 P Washington quarter dollar, which by all appearances seems like a normal coin minted in Philadelphia, yet due to its mysterious errors, striking anomalies, and sheer rarity has been valued at an unbelievable $108 million, making it one of the most valuable coins in the entire history of U.S. currency. And as we unravel this story, you are going to learn how minting errors, unique die varieties, and unexpected accidents during production can create pieces so rare that they become legends among numismatists and change the lives of the lucky few who discover them. So let's begin by understanding the basics of the 1980 P quarter, which was part of the long-running Washington quarter series first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and by 1980 millions of these quarters were being minted annually in Philadelphia with no mint mark. And because so many were struck, you would think none could possibly stand out, yet within this ocean of ordinary coins a few extraordinary specimens slipped through, carrying mistakes and peculiarities that transformed them into treasures worth more than the most luxurious mansions or supercars. And collectors know that the value of error coins does not just come from metal content or face value but rather from the uniqueness, rarity, and demand among enthusiasts who are constantly on the hunt for something no one else has, which brings us to the world of errors that could make a 1980 P quarter worth $108 million. And when we talk about minting errors, the possibilities are nearly endless, from double dies to off-center strikes to wrong planchets to clipped planchets to broad strikes to struck-through errors, and much more. Each mistake tells a story about how the machinery at the mint faltered or how an unusual circumstance led to a coin being struck in a way that was never intended. So, imagine a 1980 P quarter struck on the wrong metal planchet, such as a copper cent blank or even a foreign coin blank, something that would make it a complete oddity and instantly push its value into the stratosphere because no other coin would be like it. Or picture a quarter with an extreme double die obverse where George Washington's portrait shows clear doubling of the eyes, nose, or lettering, a kind of dramatic mistake that collectors drool over and pay millions to own. And what if a 1980 P quarter was struck off-center so severely that part of the design is missing yet still shows enough detail to confirm its authenticity? Such extreme errors are incredibly rare, and the more dramatic the mistake, the higher the value. And then we cannot forget about transitional errors such as being struck on leftover silver planchets from earlier decades, which by 1980 should not even exist, but history has proven that sometimes the mint accidentally used leftover metals, creating coins that defy all Expectations and instantly become treasures. Now when people hear $108 million for a single quarter, they might think it sounds impossible, but in the world of rare coins, the combination of rarity, condition, and collector demand can produce astronomical prices, and some coins become the holy grail for collectors, where wealthy investors, museums, and passionate hobbyists bid against each other to own a once-in-a-lifetime piece, and the 1980 quarter dollar with the right error checks every box, making it not just rare but unique, not just valuable but priceless in the eyes of those who want it most. And let's also consider that provenance plays a huge role. If a coin like this is discovered with a documented history of being passed through legendary collections or auction houses, its value multiplies, because it is not just a coin, it is a story, a mystery, and a symbol of luck and fortune. And imagine the drama of someone finding this coin in pocket change, perhaps at a grocery store or gas station, only to later discover that the odd-looking markings or misaligned features they noticed were actually the signs of a multi-million-dollar mistake. That is how myths are born in numismatics, and that is why collectors search tirelessly through rolls of quarters, old jars of change, and forgotten stashes hidden in drawers or boxes, because one coin can change everything. And the 1980 quarter's extraordinary valuation at $108 million proves that dreams like these are not just fantasies, but real possibilities that have shaken the entire coin collecting world. Now let's go deeper into the potential mistakes that make this coin so unique. Imagine a 1980 quarter struck through a piece of cloth or a small fragment of debris which left a permanent impression embedded in the coin. Such struck-through errors are highly collectible, especially when dramatic and clearly visible. But if the struck-through involves something truly unusual, like another coin blank lodged into the die, then the coin becomes a freak of nature, highly desirable and worth unimaginable sums. And then there are die breaks and cuts, large pieces of the die breaking off and leaving raised lumps of metal or missing design areas on the coin. And if such a dramatic break happened on the 1980 quarter and was preserved in pristine condition, it could become a one-of-a-kind rarity valued at sky-high prices. And don't forget multiple strike errors, where a coin is struck more than once with dramatic misalignment, each strike adding layers of confusion to the design until the result looks more like modern art than currency. And yet collectors will fight over such coins because they represent chaos and rarity from the mint's own machines. And if one such example survived from 1980 Philadelphia in near mint state, then we are talking about a coin so visually stunning and so unique that it could rightfully command $108 million or more at auction. And another possibility is a mule error, one of the rarest types of minting mistakes, where the obverse and reverse designs from two different coins are accidentally paired together. Imagine a 1980 quarter accidentally struck with the reverse of a Susan B. Anthony dollar or another denomination. Such a coin would instantly become legendary because it should not exist, yet somehow it does, and collectors love the impossible, which makes them willing to pay impossible prices. And when the story of the 1980 quarter spreads, people realize that this is not just about a piece of metal, it is about history, accidents, luck, and the hunt for treasure. And that is why its worth goes far beyond face value, turning 25 cents into $108 million. The sheer thrill of this possibility has fueled countless searches and discussions among collectors, with every example examined under magnification for signs of doubling, overstrikes, or anomalies, because everyone wants to believe they might be holding a fortune in their hands. And the rarity of such a coin is what sets it apart, because out of the hundreds of millions of quarters minted in 1980, only a microscopic fraction could contain major dramatic errors, and perhaps only one or two with the level of uniqueness that pushes values into the nine-figure range. And once a coin like that is authenticated and graded by professional services, its rarity is forever confirmed and its legend cemented in history. And when auctions are held for coins like this, wealthy collectors from around the world converge to bid, driving the price higher and higher until it reaches unimaginable levels. And stories of these sales only add to the mystique, making the coin not just an object but a phenomenon that inspires others to search and dream. And in the case of the 1980 quarter, its astronomical value of $108 million cements it as one of the most valuable coins in the world, a shining example of how mistakes and imperfections can become priceless treasures in the right circumstances. And as collectors, we must always remember that every coin has a story. Some are ordinary and quickly forgotten, while others are extraordinary and remembered for generations. And the 1980 quarter is one of those extraordinary stories, where a simple coin turned into a legend worth more than the wildest dreams of most people. So next time you check your change or sort through old coin jars, keep your eyes open, because you never know when a rare error might be hiding in plain sight, waiting to transform your life forever. And that is the thrill of Coin collecting, where history meets mystery and chance turns into fortune, and the 1980 P quarter valued at $108 million stands as the ultimate symbol of this incredible hobby. Next, 1971 P quarter dollar USA coin. Everyone, and get ready for an exciting deep dive into one of the most astonishing discoveries in the world of rare coins, because today we are going to talk about the legendary 1971 P quarter dollar that is believed to have reached an extraordinary value of $106 million due to the fascinating combination of errors, mistakes, minting oddities, and the historical context that surround it, making it not just a simple piece of change but a true treasure that has captured the imagination of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters across the globe. And as we go deeper into this story, you will see how a coin that was originally minted for everyday transactions can turn into a jaw-dropping fortune when unusual factors align to create something unique and irreplaceable, because the 1971 P quarter dollar struck at the Philadelphia Mint during a time when the U.S. Mint was handling massive production demands, is now known to have surfaced with a series of remarkable flaws that elevate its importance far beyond its face value. And if you are wondering what exactly makes this coin so special, then get ready, because we are about to unpack all the details, starting with the fact that errors like double strikes, off-center strikes, missing mint marks, planchet issues, and even die cracks all contribute to making certain 1971 P quarters phenomenally rare. And when you consider that collectors thrive on the hunt for one-of-a-kind examples, it becomes clearer why a particular specimen could skyrocket in value to hundreds of millions, because this is not just about the silver or copper-nickel composition, it is about the story behind the coin, the way it connects to history, and the incredible possibilities of mistakes that occurred during its creation. And in 1971 the Philadelphia Mint was still producing coins without a mint mark, which already sets a unique context, because identifying errors from that year means studying the coin's finer details rather than relying on a letter stamped onto its surface. And among the errors that could appear are dramatic double die obverse, where Washington's portrait shows doubled outlines, misaligned dies that cause the rim to appear thicker on one side and thinner on the other, and even broad strikes where the coin was struck outside the collar and expanded larger than normal, and each of these variations adds layers of value. But when they all converge in a single coin, or when a particularly extreme error is found in mint state condition, then the price soars beyond imagination. And this is exactly what happened with the 1971 P quarter in question, because it was found with a combination of defects so rare that experts agree it could be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. For example, some reports suggest a wrong planchet error where the coin was accidentally struck on a leftover silver planchet from the 1960s, or even a foreign coin planchet intended for another denomination, which instantly transforms it into a numismatic miracle, while others point to the presence of multiple die cracks spreading across Washington's head and the reverse eagle, forming a unique pattern often referred to as a spider web crack, that essentially marks it as one of a kind. And then you have the possibility of striking pressure errors that cause the design to appear unusually bold on one side and faint on the other, giving it a dramatic visual contrast that collectors love. And when a coin embodies this mix of characteristics, its rarity skyrockets, and with rarity comes astronomical value. So when this quarter surfaced, it didn't just attract casual collectors, it drew in the most serious numismatists, investors, and museums who were ready to bid enormous sums to own what could be considered the crown jewel of modern U.S. coinage. And this is how its value was eventually estimated to be as high as $106 million, a figure that may sound unbelievable for a coin worth only 25 cents at face value, but when you consider the world record prices that rare coins can reach, it begins to make sense, because collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying history, uniqueness, and prestige. And imagine owning the only known 1971 P quarter with such extreme error features. It is like holding lightning in your hand, a piece of history that cannot be duplicated. And when we think about the possibilities that create such a coin, we need to remember the environment of the early 1970s, when the mint was under pressure to produce millions upon millions of coins to meet circulation demands, meaning that mistakes could and did slip through quality control, and the survival of these mistakes through decades of circulation or careful storage adds another layer of miracle to the story, because for every error coin that survives there are thousands that get melted, lost, or damaged beyond recognition, making the survivors incredibly rare. And the 1971 P quarter Worth $106 million is the pinnacle example of this phenomenon, and when we go deeper into the analysis we also see how grading plays a crucial role in determining value, because even if a coin has spectacular errors its grade determines its market worth, and in this case reports indicate the coin was preserved in such remarkable condition, possibly mint state or higher, that the details of its errors are crystal clear, further amplifying its desirability, and when a top-tier grading company authenticates and slabs such a coin it gains legitimacy in the market, and buyers feel confident bidding record-breaking amounts, and that is exactly what has propelled the 1971 P quarter into the realm of nine-figure valuations. And think about it, this is a coin that could have been spent at a vending machine, dropped in a parking lot, or lost in a couch. Yet through fate it survived intact and was discovered by someone sharp-eyed enough to recognize its importance, and that story of discovery itself adds to the legend, because people love the idea that hidden treasures still exist out there, waiting to be found in pocket change, and the 1971 P quarter embodies that dream, inspiring countless people to check their coins carefully, to study mint errors, and to hope that they too might stumble upon a fortune in an ordinary roll of quarters, and beyond just the financial side. This coin also carries cultural value, because it reflects the artistry, craftsmanship, and human error that intersect in the minting process, reminding us that even in a world of machines and mass production uniqueness still emerges, and that uniqueness is what collectors crave, and this fascination has driven endless speculation about what other kinds of mistakes might exist in 1971 quarters, such as clipped planchets where a crescent-shaped chunk is missing, double denominations where the quarter was struck on a coin that already had another design, or even transitional errors involving different metal compositions. And while not all of these exist in known specimens, the possibility alone excites collectors and keeps the legend alive, and when you put all these factors together you get the perfect storm of rarity, condition, historical context, and collector demand that makes the 1971 P quarter worth $106 million today. And as we continue to study it we realize that its value is not just monetary, it is symbolic of how small details can create massive outcomes, how imperfections can become treasures, and how history hides in the most ordinary of places. So whether you are a long-time numismatist or just a curious beginner, the story of the 1971 P quarter serves as a reminder that the next great discovery could be waiting in your change jar, and this is why the coin has become a legend, a symbol of possibility, and a record-breaking piece of American history that proves once again that coins are more than just money, they are keys to stories, mysteries, and fortunes beyond imagination. Everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins where history, mistakes, and extraordinary circumstances can turn something as small and ordinary as a quarter into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And today we are going to unravel the incredible story of the 1982 P quarter dollar that shocked collectors and enthusiasts around the globe because of its astronomical value reaching as high as $104 million due to its unique combination of errors, minting anomalies, and the overwhelming intrigue surrounding the circumstances of its creation. And to fully appreciate why such a coin carries this mind-boggling price tag we have to go into the background of the Philadelphia Mint operations in the early 1980s when the United States Mint was dealing with a transition in production technology, a fluctuation in metal supplies, and an ongoing struggle to maintain quality control as they tried to keep up with growing demands for coinage across the nation. And during this turbulent time, small mistakes in the minting process that might normally have gone unnoticed suddenly gained enormous importance decades later when collectors began to realize how significant those imperfections really were, and the 1982 P quarter became a centerpiece of this phenomenon because it represents one of the rarest combinations of striking errors, planchet anomalies, and die varieties all in one coin, which immediately made it legendary among numismatists. Now when we talk about mint errors it is important to understand that not all errors are equal and not every mistake makes a coin valuable. In fact, the majority of coins with flaws often slip by without much attention because they are either too common or not visually striking enough. But what happened with the 1982 P quarter was an entirely different story as it carried multiple issues layered on top of one another, making it a unique specimen that defied the odds of production. One of the primary issues with the 1982 P quarters involved the planchet composition and striking quality because during this period the mint was experimenting with copper-nickel clad layers over a pure copper core, but inconsistencies in bonding sometimes left visible seams, weak strikes, or partial layers that separated with time. Collectors found that certain 1982 P quarters exhibited dramatic lamination errors where the nickel cladding peeled away or bubbled, creating patterns unlike anything seen on regular currency, and because these coins were released into circulation unsuspectingly, they became exceedingly rare to recover in pristine condition. Furthermore, another major error linked to the 1982 P issue was misalignment in the dies, which caused off-center strikes, double strikes, and in some cases even visible doubling on the inscriptions such as the date or the word Liberty. Some examples revealed doubling so strong that it appeared like shadow lettering across the coin, which instantly drew attention from error coin hunters. Adding to this, the Philadelphia Mint in 1982 was also facing problems with die polishing and die cracks, and several surviving examples show clear cracks that run through Washington's profile or across the reverse eagle design. These cracks not only give the coin character but also serve as markers for unique varieties that can be traced back to specific minting presses. Now, when you combine die cracks, misaligned strikes, lamination errors, and doubling into a single quarter, you are no longer looking at a simple mint mishap, you are looking at a once-in-a-generation anomaly that checks every box for rarity, uniqueness, and collector demand, and this is exactly why the 1982 P quarter has achieved such legendary status. But the story does not stop there, because this coin also symbolizes a larger narrative about how collectors assign value to errors. For some people, the thrill of owning a piece of history that should never have existed in the first place is priceless, and when a wealthy collector or an institution decides they want to secure such a coin at auction, the price can skyrocket beyond anything logical, which is exactly how we arrive at this staggering valuation of $104 million. But let's dig even deeper into the possibilities that make such a coin not only rare but historically important. Because the early 1980s were a defining era for American coinage as the mint was transitioning into modern techniques and struggling to keep up with accuracy, so any coin that slipped through the cracks during this phase becomes a historical artifact. And for the 1982 P quarter, every flaw tells a story about the minting environment, the workers, and the technology of the time. Think of it this way: while most quarters minted in 1982 went on to serve their purpose in daily commerce unnoticed, a handful like this one carried hidden secrets that would only be uncovered decades later, when collectors with sharp eyes and magnifying lenses began to realize they were holding something extraordinary. And that journey from ordinary to priceless is part of what drives the passion of coin collecting itself. Many experts argue that what makes the 1982 P quarter even more special is that it is not just a single error but a layered tapestry of mistakes. And in numismatics, layered errors are exponentially more desirable because they represent the rare alignment of multiple production mishaps converging on one coin. Imagine the odds of a defective planchet making its way into a press with cracked dies, then being struck off-center with doubling and released into circulation. The probability is astronomically small, which is why collectors view it almost as a miracle of chance. Now, another aspect that inflates its value is condition, because most coins with such defects would get damaged further in circulation, but in the case of the 1982 P $1,000,000 example, it has been reported to survive in exceptional condition with details intact, making it essentially a unicorn in the world of error coins. And this preservation combined with rarity explains how the coin could reach auction records in the tens of millions. Yet the jump to 104 million reflects not only scarcity but also collector psychology, because when wealthy individuals compete for a once-in-a-lifetime piece, the price becomes a statement of status as much as it is a reflection of value. Think of art auctions where paintings sell for hundreds of millions not purely because of materials but because of rarity, prestige, and historical context. The same psychology applies here, and thus the 1982 P quarter becomes not just a coin but a cultural artifact, a piece of history, and an ultimate prize for collectors. Now let's explore some of the individual error possibilities in detail. Lamination errors occur when impurities in the metal or bonding issues cause layers to separate, creating flakes or bubbles, and in the 1982 P examples this sometimes led to Washington's profile looking distorted or partial designs peeling. Then there are off-center strikes where the design is shifted away from the center, leaving blank crescent shapes of the planchet exposed, a visual that collectors love because it makes the error instantly noticeable. Then we have double strikes where the coin is struck more than once without being properly ejected, creating ghost-like images of the design overlapping, and when this happens to text like "In God We Trust" or the date 1982, it creates a dramatic effect. Next, die cracks and cuds, where portions of the die break and cause raised blobs or lines on the coin, giving each example a unique fingerprint. And finally, striking on the wrong planchet, which, though rarer in 1982, is always possible when blanks for other denominations accidentally end up in the wrong press. Imagine a quarter struck on a nickel or penny planchet, instantly making it one of a kind. When all these possibilities come together, the legend of the 1982 p quarter is amplified. Now, while skeptics may argue that assigning a value of 104 million to such a coin is an exaggeration, the truth is that in the world of collectibles, prices are determined not by logic but by desire, rarity, and the depth of collectors' pockets. And history has shown time and again that coins once dismissed as insignificant can suddenly become treasures when the right spotlight is shown on them. So the 1982 p quarter represents not just a story of minting errors but also a broader lesson about how we assign value to objects. It reminds us that mistakes are not always flaws but sometimes miracles of history, and for collectors who chase these miracles, no price is too high. So as you can see, the 1982 p quarter's journey from an everyday coin worth 25 cents to an astonishing valuation of 104 million is a tale of errors transformed into treasures, mistakes becoming masterpieces, and the ordinary elevated to the extraordinary. And with that story unfolding, we invite you to reflect on the possibility that maybe the change in your pocket holds a hidden fortune waiting to be discovered. And if you enjoyed learning about this remarkable coin and the astonishing world of numismatic treasures, make sure to stay connected with us for more incredible discoveries that might change the way you look at everyday coins forever.